Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me. It is 9 o'clock here on Monday night. I figured I'd do this episode now. Um, so let's just start off with this weekend. Um, this is going to be a very different episode um, because this was WrestleMania weekend. As some of you may know, that I am a big wrestling fan, have been my whole life, and ugh, gotta sit up for a second. So WrestleMania weekend basically started off Friday night with the WWE Hall of Fame. Congratulations to all the inductees: Diamond Dallas Page, Beth Phoenix, the late great Ravishing Rick Rude, Kurt Angle, the Olympic gold medalist who won numerous world titles. Eric LeGrand. If you don't know who Eric LeGrand is, he was a collegiate football player who, during a game in 2010 against Army, when he was playing for Rutgers, took a nasty hit, and he basically became paralyzed from I believe, his neck down. But ever since then, he's been trying and trying to walk again. He started the Eric LeGrand Foundation, the Believe campaign, which is BE capital LE. For like the first part of his name. He won the. He was the recipient of the Warrior Award, named after the late great Ultimate Warrior. The Rock and Roll Express, one of the greatest tag teams of all time, got inducted as well. And then from there was Saturday, which was the NXT Takeover show in Orlando, which is where NXT is based out of, but they held the show at the Amway Center. The first match was the stable called Sanity, which two of the four members of Sanity are from, their ICW alumnus. Killian Dane, better known as Big Damo or Damien O'Connor. Nikki Cross, better known as Nikki Storm. Some of you might know who Eric Young is. He's part of that. And then there's another guy, a German guy, whose name kind of escapes me at the moment. And they were taking on the team of, originally it was supposed to be Ty Dillinger, Roderick Strong, one of the greatest independent wrestlers to come out in the last 5-10 years. A guy named No Way Jose, whose gimmick basically is he's from Venezuela and he loves a fiesta, and his theme song is pretty catchy. In fact, at one NXT Takeover, he led a very long conga line, and their partner, a lady by the name of Ruby Riott, who I knew as Heidi Lovelace from the first time I saw her. That was about 2-3 years ago in a promotion called Shikara, which Shikara is more of a cartoony kind of. I mean, their characters are just kind of off the wall. And so Sanity ended up winning that match. And then from there, the debuting Aleister Black, also known as Tommy End, from ICW again. He faced Andrade Cien Almas. If you followed the career of this guy, you would know him as a masked luchador from Mexico by the name of La Sombra. Pretty decent match. Aleister Black debuting, of course, he would get the win. And then there was the triple threat tag team match with Paul Ellering, better known as the manager of the Road Warriors, and his new tag team, the Authors of Pain, Akam and Razor. Almost sounds like Secret of the Ooze type Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle thing, taking on the team of DIY, which is Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, two more of the probably the best independent wrestlers you'll ever see. and the mainstay tag team of the Revival, who kind of remind me of an old Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson. The Brainbusters, Four Horsemen tag team. No real flash, but they love to they like to inflict the storyline pain. It was a great triple threat match. The Authors of Pain, of course, won and retained their titles. After that was the women's championship match, which felt kind of, to me, it was a great match, but I was kind of disappointed in the ending. Asuka, the champion, and Ember Moon, the challenger. Asuka had to use a referee bump to retain the title. The main event was Bobby Roode, glorious Bobby Roode, versus the King of Strong Style, Shinsuke Nakamura. And if you've never seen Nakamura, let me tell you, this guy is phenomenal. He is kind of a combination of Michael Jackson, Freddie Mercury, Prince, and the legendary Antonio Inoki. He is, very charismatic. Makes his punches and forearms and kicks seem believable. Bobby Roode ended up winning the match. So that was the NXT show. NXT always raises the bar every time they do a show before a WWE event, which leads us to WrestleMania. So WrestleMania was dang near 8 hours yesterday between the pre-show all the way to the main event, and it was an exhausting watch. Trust me. It started off with Austin Aries versus Neville for the Cruiserweight Championship. And the story was Aries is the talker, Neville's the wrestler. Aries had just came back from a legitimate broken orbital bone, and in the end, they exploited that in the storyline where Neville grabbed him by the eye and broke up the finishing hold. Neville retains. The second match was the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which was won by Mojo Rawley. I got nothing against Mojo. He and I have our banter on Twitter every so often. But the highlight, the newsworthy event of this Battle Royal was the fact that New England Patriots tight end Rob Gronkowski got involved towards the end. But a lot of names were in there. There was a couple of names. Killian Dane, of course, from NXT. As I said, was Big Damo. Another guy they had was Tian Bing, who is the very first signee for WWE to come from China. He's a young kid, 22 years old. Looks like he's going to have a big upside for WWE if they play it right. Then there was another match that I can't seem to remember. And then the main show started. Overall, it was a great show. There were some hits and misses. The big surprises of the night were there was, during the triple threat ladder match, the New Day, which is they were the hosts. This trio of hosts consisting of Xavier Woods, better known as Austin Creed, with his own YouTube show, Up, Up, Down, Down. Check it out if you guys get a chance. Kofi Kingston and Big E. And they came out and said, "We have just been informed that this now has become a fatal four-way." And everybody at home and in the arena thought it was going to be the New Day. And then familiar music started playing, and it was a team that hadn't been seen in WWE in almost 10 years. Matt and Jeff Hardy. have returned to the WWE. They won the Raw Tag Team Championship. Another big surprise was Jerry Lawler returning to the announce booth for one match. Um, no surprise with Goldberg versus Lesnar. The past couple of times Lesnar and Goldberg have met since November. It's at the Survivor Series. Goldberg beat Lesnar in a minute 26. And then again at the Royal Rumble, he eliminated him pretty convincingly. This match went only about less than 5 minutes, but it was to be expected. Lesnar pinned Goldberg to win the Universal Championship. One of the one of the eerily cool things that they did during the Bray Wyatt Randy Orton WWE Championship match was halfway. I want to say halfway to 3/4 of the way through the match, the camera panned up to where you saw the whole ring like it was flat. But then it had an image of worms and maggots. And then towards the end of the match, it had cockroaches. And then it had snakes. It was a very cool image for the people at home. For the people that were at the Citrus Bowl, in Orlando, I don't know if they would be able to see it unless A, they were high up, or B, they saw it on the Trons there at the stadium. The attendance announced was 75,000. I know people are going to dispute that. But the other highlights, it was in one match, was the main event. The final match, which, went well over, it was already 11:30 Eastern by the time it started, but it was Roman Reigns versus The Undertaker. Before the match even started, the familiar sound of, Boomer Sooner, the Oklahoma Sooners fight song came out, and Jim Ross, who just a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, just lost his wife Jan, tragically in a accident, came out and the place, erupted. The finish of the match between Reigns and Undertaker, it was like eerily similar to what it was at the last WrestleMania in Orlando with Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair. Taker lost, second match ever at WrestleMania, but it was what he did at the end of the match. The lights went out. The familiar purple light came on with all the smoke, and he stood in the ring in his full, the hat, the trench coat, the gloves. And you knew something was up. When he started to take one glove off, wrap it up. Second glove off, wrapped it up. Took the jacket off, folded it up real nice and neat, dusted it off, set it down in the middle of the wrestling ring. Then took his hat off, put that on top of the jacket and gloves, went out, broke character, and went to his family, and then walked to the back, where as he gets almost to the back, he raises his fist up high in a sign of defiance or last hurrah. Then the lights in the stadium go out, and then they hear the familiar gong sound. And Twitter and Facebook, all social media, just went crazy with the hashtag #ThankYouTaker. So, on a personal level, I can say I was one of the ones that said thank you, Taker. I remember watching him debut in the WWF Thanksgiving night 1990 at the Survivor Series as the mystery partner of Ted DiBiase and Greg Valentine and the Honky Tonk Man. So from Thanksgiving 1990 until April 2nd, 2017, that's almost 27 years that Mark Calloway, the man who portrayed Undertaker, worked for this company, worked to entertain people, become the best big man wrestler of all time. He was always one of my favorites. And it just goes to show you, you're getting older when one of the guys that you looked up to as a teenager, and later it grew to enjoy it later on in your adult life, has hung it up. He's not coming back. It was a very surreal moment for me. But other than that, WrestleMania was a good show, great show. Had some hits and misses, of course, but it is what it is. Tonight, Raw was in Orlando again, and from what I've read, typical after WrestleMania Raw, half the people that was at WrestleMania is at the Raw taping, and they're pretty rambunctious there. If you ever get a chance to see it, I recommend you do, because it's something not like you've ever seen. There's always a debut from NXT. Like tonight, it was the Revival debuted on the main show. So kind of excited to see where they're going to go from here. And Finn Balor, who's been out of action since SummerSlam, made his return to television this evening. So things are looking good, and now there's a new general manager of Raw. His name is Kurt Angle. So it's good to see Kurt Angle back in the WWE. But other than that, here we go. Another week starting. I think this is probably one of my longest episodes to date. But don't forget to hit that like button right down here. Hit the subscribe button right down there. Drop me a line if you want to see anything. I was gonna do some fun. I was gonna do some funny things. Had I taped this before WrestleMania, but since it's after WrestleMania now, it's gonna have to wait until next week. So, until next week, my friends, or until I give you guys daily updates, do me a favor, stay different. And again, thank you, Undertaker.